Fallout 4 is messy. It's got messy bases, messy guns, messy world building, and messy characters. And I love it. The first two Fallout games are undeniably genius, and Fallout New Vegas takes the best of the franchise, and somehow through some miracle, distills it into a beautiful experience that's fun, provocative, and a true successor to the original two games. Fallout 4 is not any of those things.
My name is Culveyhouse. I played over 1,000 hours in Fallout New Vegas and about 1,000 hours in Fallout 4.
I brought in some outside help, an expert on all things Fallout, Culveyhouse, to help me look at this particular issue. The most recent entry in the Fallout franchise is one of its strangest, and not for the right reasons.
By introducing base building, too many potential followers, and some other mechanics, Bethesda gives the game a strange sense of Fallout 4 being a game, while the hyper-realism of the story can feel off-putting.
It's an odd balance, and it does take a while to get used to, but here's the really cool thing about Fallout 4.
You don't have to build any bases after the tutorial, and you don't need to do the main story. You can just do whatever the hell you want, and that's fantastic.
Before you throw something at the screen and remind me why it's a weak entry in the series, I want to explain one of Fallout 4's most powerful, ambitious, and overlooked aspects: choice.
RPGs are about making decisions and interacting with the world in the direction that you desire, and a lot of people slip into the habit of listing features here. They want RPGs to have a great setting, lots of quests, gameplay variety, exploration, and character building.
And all of these are important to creating a functioning role-playing game. Dungeons and Dragons doesn't really feel right without the dungeons or the dragons. If you were just role-playing an office job, it could lose some of the charm. So yeah, you do need all of these contextual things. But the difference between good RPGs and ones that keep us up until 4 AM on work nights is choice. If you've played it, you'll know that Fallout 3 struggles with choice. The whole game of Fallout 3 is you basically following around your father. He's actually more the main character than you are. He gets the good speeches, he gets the interesting quest, you just kind of trail after him.
Decisions throughout the game are shallow in the worst sense. You can either blow up Megaton for no reason, or save it, again for no reason. The only choice you make is at the end of the game, but it isn't a choice at all really. You die whatever your choice and the game ends.
Fallout 4's main story, if you can really isolate what that is, starts off rather dull. You traipse around Boston looking for your long-lost son. It's not especially compelling. It takes about 50 hours to get into the meat of the story. 4 factions are interlocked in a strange, unseen struggle for the Commonwealth. And the coolest lesson Fallout 4 learns from New Vegas is to give the player decisions about what to do with these factions.
You can align yourself with the Brotherhood, the Minutemen, the Railroad, or even the Institute, and each of those factions feel equally right and wrong. So the Brotherhood want to protect everyone, with heavy-handed control and almost utilitarian view of freedom, and the Minutemen believe in helping people, but then their efforts are naive enough to never truly be effective, and the Railroad has an anyone who hates synths is evil mentality, and that mirrors extreme othering, and lastly the Institute serves as this game's secretive technology hoarding gang of insane people.
It's refreshing to feel morally torn in a Bethesda game again. I could honestly talk for hours about how the delicate construction of these factions makes it so interesting, but that's not why we're here. We're here because later in the game, you can partake in operations for one faction against the other without realizing it.
Quests given by a faction, they're often menial fetch operations, or just go here and clear out a bunch of bandits, or at least that's how they start.
The more quests you do for a faction, the more chance a randomly generated fetch me this task can become an interaction with another faction. And they always feel incredibly organic.
In the late game, some cool things start to happen. The Institute will send you to recover a synth, and then when you arrive, you'll discover an encampment of Minutemen who are hunting the synth.
And then you have a decision to make. It's awesome.
So the Minutemen come up to you and demand you help them save the synth from the Institute. That you help the Minutemen, the very people who got you on your feet after the vault, take down the people you work for.
What's going on here?
You're an unexpected surprise. We could use the backup. These Institute bastards aren't getting away. They'll have to go through us to get out of there. We don't know quite what we're up against, but it's good you're here to help. How did you hear about this?
Can you bring me up to speed on the situation?
Commonwealth citizen lives in that there observatory. Institute thugs showed up to haul him off, only he spotted them coming. He managed to fire off a flare gun, got our attention, and we got up here as quick as we could. Now they're trapped inside. So, how do you want to play this? We thought about trying to lure them out here, since it'd be easier to kill them. But then we realized we probably ought to storm the place, to make sure they can't disappear on us. That makes sense, right? So, you want to lead the charge?
A real decision that will have immediate active consequences as well as long-term ramifications. No dialogue options feel like the right choice. There's no outcome where your character doesn't come across as being a bit of a deceptive jerk.
Have your men hold their ground. I'll go in and assess the situation.
I don't think that's a good idea, sir.
And I can't emphasize how amazing this moment is, but it gets better.
No one is going to do anything. Tell your men to stand down.
Are you kidding me? If we don't do something now, they're going to take that poor guy wherever it is they go. And we'll have failed. Again. Are you going to order the attack or not?
You can follow through this encounter however you like, but your chances of convincing this character of your innocence grow less and less the more things you say.
I'm giving you an order, soldier.
Maybe you don't understand. This ain't the military, and I don't have to take orders from you. Why are you so against this? You do know which side you're on, don't you?
If Bethesda was really putting their head on the block, this moment wouldn't show us which option has the highest chance of being successful, just like the original Fallouts. So instead, you must decide based on the kind of person you are, the kind of person you think they are, like in real life, like in a good role-playing game. So eventually, you do make a decision.
Sure you're willing to risk being wrong about this?
Look, I just want people to be safe, you know?
You're right. Let's go in there and get him.
All right, then.
I know for a fact they won't hurt that man. And if you get in the way, I'm gonna have to take you down.
Now you're gonna threaten me? Are you out of your damn mind? Or are you working for them? I ain't gonna shoot you. But you'd better stay the hell out of our way while we do what needs to be done.
The game lets you make an actual decision, not just in the dialogue but in the game. The Minutemen don't just become hostile immediately. You have to pull the trigger if you want to confront them and defend the Institute. You have to actually kill the synth and fail the quest if you want to keep the Minutemen on side. Or you can kill the Minutemen and dispose of the witnesses, no one will ever know about your crime. Or you can kill all the synths and lie to the Institute. Or you can kill everyone and do whatever you want. Or you can just sit back and watch the two sides battle it out. There's so many outcomes and they all feel like your choice to make, but that last one is relatively new to Fallout in a lot of ways. The ability to retract yourself from conflict is amazing for two reasons.
When these moments happen, when you have the option to not fight, it makes you realize that in the past you might have also avoided conflict, and that making the call to execute someone or start a firefight during the early days of your character leaving the vault, they're suddenly called into question.
The morality of your decision making so far is questioned, and it's kind of a game changer that no one talked about when the game came out. The second reason this moment is great is because it makes you want to believe in Bethesda games again. Just hear me out. Fallout 3 is great but has some of the worst decision-making options to date in pretty much any RPG. Your father is the main character of the story, not you. You mostly watch other people give awesome speeches, and even the villains feel weirdly protracted. Skyrim, conversely, ditches a lot of decision-making in favor of focusing on more dichotomous key-style questlines. It means the game has way more variety of quests and environments with less kind of stories. It's a whole different kind of game, and comparing the two feels unfair. But Fallout 4 ultimately is a tug-of-war between its origins and Skyrim. It wants to be open world with two-option quests while retaining creative dialogue and genuine decisions with outcomes. The main story is pretty indicative of this. You basically save the future, or you don't. There's not a ton of nuance overall, but the individual decisions along the way range from bland or meaningless to morally conflicting, and at times, at the best of times, genuinely heartbreaking.
But there was no other way, right?
The two identities of Fallout 4 constrict the game into this state of paralysis, with this half-urgency that makes you want to go back and play the game, despite knowing nothing interesting will happen. It's a promise of greater storytelling that never quite delivers. But for all that,
Bethesda built Fallout 4 like their other role-playing games. They gave us an entire world to explore. And they're also masters at piquing our curiosity by placing hundreds of objects on the horizon, all of which can be explored. And then they take this concept and stuff the game full of hundreds of unique locations, each with their own story, and there's where the real value lies.
The Antagonist is me, David McNeil. Our music is by the incredibly talented Daniel Larson. Thanks to Culveyhouse for his help. Make sure to subscribe to his channel for more Fallout. Here's a quick clip of one of his latest videos.
What are you waiting for? Would you come over here? Yeah! Boom! I blew his head off. Got him. Got him.
We are produced by Digital and Creative Media Works. Head to patreon.com/DCMworks to support us. Ben Hill is a steaming hot shower after jogging first thing on a new winter's morning.